Hello there, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Raw Reactions on the Red Mist podcast with me, Seshadri, for the Liverpool versus Arsenal game. Big game at Anfield tonight. Both sides coming in with a 100% record. And if you guys don't know the drill with Raw Reactions, it's basically a segment of my show where I record my reactions before the game, at halftime, and at full time, and then I compile it into one full episode and put it out. But here we go. Like I said, I sound like Fabrizio Romano. Here we go. But like I said, the lineups are out. Arsenal and Liverpool, both of them having put out their lineups. We'll start with the visitors first. Bernd Leno in goal, no surprise there. Rob Holding, David Luiz, Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney makes his return to the team, so that's a big boost for Arsenal. Hector Bellerin starts as well. Elneny, Xhaka, Maitland-Niles, Willian, Lacazette, Aubameyang. It looks like they're going with a three at the back. Rob Holding, David Luiz and Kieran Tierney. But don't be surprised if Tierney just likes to bomb forward. So I will very much not be surprised if... during the game you see him come down towards our defense if he has the ball. But it looks like a 3-4-3. Aubameyang obviously being the biggest threat for Arsenal, the biggest goal-scoring threat for Arsenal. But, we do have to pay attention to Willian and Lacazette, both of whom have started off the season well. Surprising thing though, Gabriel is on the bench. I actually expected to see him on the field today, which is quite surprising. I'm surprised Mikel Arteta has gone for David Luiz over Gabriel because Gabriel's looked quite assured. So I'm very surprised that he's gone for Gabriel over. He's gone for David Luiz over Gabriel, and I'm very surprised at that. Rob Holding's kind of been okay, I would have thought it would be Holding, Gabriel, Tierney, but it is what it is. Three at the back: Holding, David Luiz, Tierney, Bellerin on the right. I would assume Maitland-Niles on the left. With Elneny and Xhaka in between. So Elneny and Xhaka are gonna have their hands full today. They're probably gonna be very occupied trying to make sure that the Liverpool midfield does not overrun them. Meanwhile, we've also got Willian, Lacazette and Aubameyang. Like I said, Aubameyang the main goal-scoring threat, Lacazette as well. We should be wary of him, and Willian's been in good form. So, it's an interesting lineup from Arsenal, kind of the usual lineup, I would say. On the bench, they do have Runarsson, who's a new signing. He's a reserve goalkeeper after Martinez was sold, or substitute goalkeeper rather. So Runarsson, and then we've got Gabriel, Kolasinac, Ceballos not starting. Arteta going a little bit defensive for this game at Anfield. So maybe a little bit of a change in mentality there. But I'm a little surprised actually. I would have thought Ceballos would start. But that being said, both Elneny and Xhaka have actually been quite good. So, I'm not too surprised. And I think that partnership worked well in the Community Shield. So I'm not, again, maybe he's just going for something that's tried and tested. So, but Nicolas Pepe, Bukayo Saka and Eddie Nketiah finished the substitute lineup for Arsenal. Nketiah obviously grabbing the winner last week at West Ham after coming on as a sub. Bukayo Saka, he did well in the Community Shield, but unfortunately does not find his place in the squad today. Willian, of course, playing on as part of the front three with Lacazette and Aubameyang. But should be an exciting game. I think Arsenal have gone a little bit more defensive than I would have expected. But to be fair, they are coming to Anfield. It's not been a great hunting ground for them in the past few seasons. So, I'm not surprised they're a little defensive. But we'll see. We'll see how the game turns out, because the last time they did put out a midfield of Elneny and Xhaka, I mean, they did do quite decently. I think they weren't too bad. But coming now to the Liverpool lineup. So first big relief for me is the fact that Alisson is starting in goal. There was a little bit of doubt about him whether or not he's going to start, but Alisson is starting in goal, so that's big news for us. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joe Gomez makes his return to the starting lineup, so he is declared fit again after being unfit for the Chelsea game, which means Fabinho has now moved back into midfield. But partnering Joe Gomez, we've got Virgil van Dijk as usual. Andy Robertson finishes off the backline on the left. And then you've got Fabinho, Wijnaldum and Keita, with Henderson missing out because of an issue. Obviously, he was substituted at halftime against Chelsea, and Fabinho, Wijnaldum and Keita is the midfield that we've gone with. For those of you who are wondering why Thiago is not starting, it's because he has some minor fitness issue, and that's why he is not starting the game for us. I would have loved to have seen him in the lineup, but it is unfortunate. But it is what it is. You can't always have what you want, but you just got to make do with what you have. And to be fair, like this midfield, I am actually fairly confident. Keita has been in good form. Wijnaldum's been okay. He could do better, but he has been okay. He's not been pathetic. And Fabinho's done well, obviously. He did fabulously at, excuse the wordplay there, but he did fabulously at Stamford Bridge. So hopefully he can continue his form into this weekend as well. And Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, Roberto Firmino, as usual, the boys leading the attack, the best front line in world football in my opinion. I know Tottenham fans will be piping up saying Bale, Kane, and Son is much better, but nah, it's got to be Mane, Salah, Firmino. Till I see Bale, Kane, and Son fire away as many goals as these three do, and till I see Tottenham win a trophy, I'm not going to accept that. But Mane, Salah, and Firmino, that's the best front line in the league for me, and they start this game as well. Hope Firmino's had some good outings against Arsenal. Hopefully, he can continue that. Mane, Salah's in good form. Mane's in good form. So front three, I'm not really worried about. On the bench, we do have Adrian, James Milner, Curtis Jones, Minamino, Diogo Jota is in the bench. We could maybe potentially see him make his Premier League debut for Liverpool at some point. Divock Origi and Nico Williams as well. So kind of a very overall mixed bench. Nothing too untoward there. But the only notable absence is being Henderson and Thiago. But again, like I said, Henderson was kind of expected, had a little bit of a niggle, had some issues to deal with, and Thiago, just unfortunate, isn't it? But yeah, it is what it is. This is football. Happens. You just got to deal with it best you can. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this game. I think it should be a very, very good game. Both sides should be attacking. I think based off of the lineups, I'd say Liverpool might have to start off the better team, sort of put their stamp on the game, and then sort of not let Arsenal grow into it, because Arsenal are starting out a little bit defensive, so they do expect the game to go Liverpool's way most of the time. At least they do expect Liverpool to have the ball most of the time. But we do have to be wary of Arsenal's counter-attack. Willian, Lacazette, Aubameyang, the front three is very, very good on the counter-attacks, as is Maitland-Niles as well. When he joins the attack. Bellerin going forward, he's not been great, but he will get better, I think. His final delivery has also not been great, but I think he will get better, and he does have the ability to produce some quality deliverees when called upon sometimes. But yeah, that's been the pre-game. I can't really say a pre-game show, but that's been the pre-game segment of Raw Reactions for the Liverpool versus Arsenal game. Predictions, like I said, if you guys didn't watch the preview episode that me and Abhishek did, my prediction for this game was a 1-0 Liverpool win. I'm going to say Sadio Mane is going to score the winner. I think it's going to be a cagey start, but I think Liverpool will grow into it more and more, and I think eventually we will find a winner. I think the key thing will be for us to press, because Arsenal, especially David Luiz, sometimes he does tend to make a lot of mistakes while trying to play at the back. Kolasinac is not playing. I would have been more confident if he was. But yeah, I think Tierney is quite confident on the ball. Rob Holding, it's not been a regular thing for him to face such quality opposition. So again, Rob Holding is another guy we could press. So that backline looks a little vulnerable to me, and I think if things can go wrong for Arsenal there. But yeah, that's my take on it, and hopefully we can keep a clean sheet as well. We do need that, and we can keep the 100% winning record, and keep Anfield the fortress that it is, and not let anyone breach it. But yeah, on to the game, and I'll see you guys back at halftime. Right, guys, we are back at halftime of Liverpool versus Arsenal, and it is 2-1 in Liverpool's favour. Very, very dominant performance from us. Honestly, we've been really, really good as a team. Like, I know you're thinking Arsenal scored one, but I'll get to that. But I mean, we were just really good. Like, there was no. I mean, look, there's one obvious error which I will talk about, which is what led to the Arsenal goal. But aside from that, and that is just that's just an unfortunate incident more than some sort of an individual error. Like, yeah, yes, it will be attributed to an individual, but it was more of an unfortunate incident. But overall, I think we've just been brilliant. Like, everyone, and special performances. I think the front three and Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think they've just been really, really good, and Fabinho's been quite good as well. I mean, overall, the team, like all of them, I think have put in at least a 7 out of 10 so far. So, to be completely honest, like, yeah, I honestly don't see any reason to be critical of Liverpool today, because at least for the first half, because they've just been really good. We've controlled the game. We've not let Arsenal have counterattacks. Defensively, we've been solid. I mean, there's not much else you could ask for. We've created a lot. Arsenal are lucky not to be worse off, to be fair. But we've created a lot of chances. It's not just that we've had the ball and not created anything. We've created chances. There's been some last-ditch defending that has saved Arsenal, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, let's just get right to it. First goal, Arsenal will take the lead, a shock lead. To be fair, it's their first counter-attack of the game. I think it's about 20-25 minutes into the game. Liverpool are the better team at this point. We've created a few chances. Trent's hit the bar already. Of course, it did come off a deflection from Bellerin, but, Trent's hit the bar. We're playing really well, basically. And we've come close a few times. Last is defending from Holding, from, I think David Luiz had one as well. But yeah, a lot of last-ditch defending saved Arsenal so far. Then they get on the counter-attack, play through our press, and that leads to the first chance for Arsenal and the first goal. And so it's a cross that comes in, I think, from Maitland-Niles. Look, it's just a very yes, I was mad because it's a very shitty goal to concede. It's an absolute travesty of a goal to concede because it feels like like if it's a well worked team goal, you can, part of you is sort of like, it's okay, you know what, at least they worked it out well. It's a consolation. Saying okay, they kind of maybe just about deserved it, but it was their first counter attack. They were nowhere in the game before that. They come down the left-hand side with Maitland-Niles. The cross comes in. There's three defenders, and Lacazette's the only guy in the box. The ball gets past Gomez and Van Dijk. Robertson's the man. It's coming straight at Robertson. Like, honestly, there's just no... You're thinking, at this point, you're seeing the ball come towards Robertson. At that point, you're thinking, he's got it. He's going to dribble it out. That's it. That's the end of the Arsenal attack. And Lacazette's given up pretty much at that point because he's offside. He's ahead of the line. And, he's given up. But Robertson tries to control it. I think it hits the inside of his foot and then sort of goes back. So that's a miscontrolled ball. And then you've got Lacazette, who's not expecting this, by the way. Lacazette is not expecting Robertson to miscontrol it. But, he's there, right place, right time. Fortunate for him. Goes for the shot. Mishits the shot entirely. Alisson thinks he's going to nail the shot the first time. So he's going down to save the volley when instead he's mishit the shot. The ball hits the top of his boot and it's just looping over. Now Alisson tries to get his hand to it. Like, he's trying so hard because it's very hard as a keeper when your momentum's taking you in one direction and you've got to go the exact opposite direction to try and save the ball. So it's very, very difficult for Alisson. And I know there'll be a lot of people who've never been a keeper in their lives before criticizing Alisson, saying, oh, he shouldn't have dived. But trust me, when it's a volley that close to goal, you're just diving because you kind of know where it's going to go. Yeah, you're just diving for it. What I would maybe criticize, but it's not really a criticism, I'm just really nitpicking here. Maybe once Alisson sees the ball loop back from Robertson, maybe he goes a little further and tries to close the angle down. Maybe that might have helped. I don't know. But look, that's just nitpicking. Like I said, it's not a real criticism. Alisson's not to blame for this one. And, it's just unfortunate. It's just a fortunate deflection for Arsenal for twice, let's say. And, I mean, yeah, that's just, that's just the way it goes. And I was mad. I was furious. I can't even lie. I was absolutely seething when that goal went in because that's not how you want a goal to go in. It went in. Can't really do much about that. But that's fine. Then we've got Mane, obviously, deciding Arsenal's lead wasn't going to last very long. So there's a foul on Keita and they play advantage and Mo Salah gets the ball eventually, launches a shot at goal. Leno, to his credit, he does come up with a pretty good save, but unfortunately for him, the rebound goes straight at Mane and he just slots it in. He's basically got an empty net to slot it in. Very good run from Salah to hold off Kieran Tierney, by the way, on that. And it's just a 1 yard tap in for Mane. He's going to nail that all day long. So, let's just face it. That's an easy goal. But Arsenal's lead didn't last long. 1-1. So that was 1-1. And the second goal, lovely long ball, lovely switch of play. Got Trent passing it to Salah. Salah tries to dribble it out. Actually, it's not Trent. I think it was Firmino. And then he passes it back to Trent and Trent just finds an open Robertson. I think Willian lost his marker there. He tries to come in late. doesn't quite work out. And Robertson, good finish to be fair. Like, an on-rushing keeper, it's difficult to finish over an on-rushing keeper, to be fair. Like, it is a good finish. So Robertson makes up for his mistake, gives Liverpool the lead. Dominant game, nothing to complain, honestly. We've just been really, really good. And I'll be honest, the goal we conceded was an unfortunate goal. To be honest, we should be 2-0 up. And it was just an unfortunate goal that we conceded. And there's not much else I can do. I mean, it can happen to anyone. Yes, it's Robertson's mistake. Yes, it's an individual mistake. It's going to come down to him, but he's going to own up to it. And you could see it on his face as well. He was owning up to it. He is going to own up to it, but it's just unfortunate. Like that's just a combination of events that you don't quite see very often. So, I mean, if Lacazette gets the volley perfectly, maybe he scores, maybe Alisson judges it right and gets the save. So you never know where. You never know what would have happened if Lacazette actually nailed that shot. But it may not even have been a goal if Robertson had got his control correct. So there's just that. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. There's not much else I can say. But I'm really, really happy with the first half performance. Very, very. I mean, there's nothing to complain. It's just been brilliant. Like I said, all over the field, they've given me 7 out of 10 performances. Every single one of those players. Even Robertson, like even with the mistake, I think he was pretty solid. Maybe he would have had only a 6 if it wasn't for the goal. But I mean, I wouldn't go lower than that for anyone. So yeah, it's just been a really good performance. We've controlled the tempo. We've not let Arsenal into the game. Arteta has honestly, this game looked more like Roy Hodgson in terms of the way his team is set up to play. And to be fair, we're not giving them the ball to play with. So it's up to him to figure out if Dani Ceballos needs to come on for him or what. I mean, it's up to him to figure it out. But like I said, Arsenal are defensive in this game. I think that itself, the very fact that they had Xhaka and El Neni, I think it was a little bit, that itself sort of signaled to me that Arsenal weren't looking to get on the front foot at any point. I mean, if you had Ceballos in the lineup, I'd be like, okay, maybe when they have the ball, they might be a little dangerous. But it is what it is. But one final thing, I mentioned El Neni. I want to talk about Martin Tyler, and you're wondering probably what the relation between the two is. This idiot, he needs to be drug tested. Honestly, Martin Tyler needs to be drug tested. This guy is honking absolute shite on television. And how he has a job in Sky, I will have no idea. This is a guy, and I'm not kidding, okay? This is embarrassing. Martin Tyler, you're 69 years old, 70 years old, okay? Last week, I think it was the first game, not last week, the week before that, the very first game. Leeds United were playing Robin Koch, okay? You're a 70-year-old man. Can you not try and laugh and sniggle and sneer when you try to say his name? It's a German name, okay? I mean, I'm honestly so angry at this guy. This guy hates Liverpool. Honestly, the reason I brought up El Neni, it's nothing against El Neni. This is totally against Martin Tyler, okay? So here's the thing. This guy goes, he's talking about Mo Salah, right? And he goes, he's known as the king of Egypt around these parts. Although, to be fair, El Neni might have something to say about it. Are you flipping kidding me? Dude, get drug tested, honestly. If you ask El Neni who the king of Egypt is, he's going to say it's Mo Salah. That's how good Mo Salah has been for Liverpool, for Egypt, for every team he's played for. Okay? This guy needs to be drug tested. I'm sorry, this guy hates Liverpool. How he has a job at Sky, I will never know. Look, if Jamie Carragher or Gary Neville have biases, that's fine. They're meant to be having biases. Jamie Carragher is a Liverpool legend. Gary Neville is a Man United legend. These guys are meant to be having biases. They've been one club people all their lives. Martin Tyler is a neutral. You're supposed to be neutral. I'm not saying you can't support a club. You can. Okay, I don't care if you're a Man United fan. That's fine. But at least when you're commenting on games, be flippin' neutral. How hard is that? It's not that hard. I've done commentary. I've done amateur commentary. I'm a Liverpool fan. I've commented on Liverpool games. And I've been neutral. I've found it okay to be neutral. I've wanted to celebrate Liverpool goals sometimes, but I've been neutral. So yeah, it's possible. Okay? This guy is embarrassing. This guy is an embarrassment to commentary. That's just what it is. Like, he is the worst commentator I've seen across sports. And I've seen a fair few because I watch a fair few sports. This guy is honestly the worst commentator I've seen in the history of sports. I'll be very honest. He's the worst commentator I've seen in the history of sports. Anyway, that's just my Martin Tyler rant done. I mean, look, this guy hates Liverpool. Like, Mo Salah can score a worldie and he'll act like he's just watched paint dry. And Pogba can score a 2-yard tap in and he'll act like that's going to win the Puskas award. So, I mean, this guy has got no standards, no. He's just. I mean, look, I'm trying to keep this as PG as possible, which is why I'm actually trying really hard not to swear. But this guy he's getting on my nerves. Like, if he says something in the second half, I might actually just absolutely swear. I mean, like, I might just let go during the second, like when I come back for full time. But yeah, I think, I mean, it is almost the end of halftime. The game is about to start in a few minutes. And you know what? Liverpool's having a good game. I don't want to talk about Martin Tyler. The guy's just annoyingly pissing off. And you know what? He's just unbearable, man. He's just unbearable. Like, and I don't even know what to say. Honestly, like I say, he's an embarrassment to commentating. Like, he's just horrible. He's just really, 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 really bad, and I cannot stress that enough. But yeah, that's been me for halftime. I'll be back at full time. Hopefully, Liverpool can continue the same performance, and we can come out with 3 points. That'll be perfect. 9 out of 9 with City dropping points this weekend. That'll be amazing. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all there is to say, really. Hello there, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Raw Reactions. I'm here at full time from Anfield. Well, actually, not from Anfield. I'm actually in Newcastle, but it is full time. And Liverpool 3, Arsenal 1. Obama who? Obama what? Obama, get the hell out of here, boys. It is Liverpool who's the boss. The amount of talking that came from Arsenal fans, and not all Arsenal fans, okay? There were a lot of Arsenal fans who were very respectful. And they knew that wins in the Community Shield didn't really mean anything. Wins towards the end of the last season didn't mean anything. But AFTV, man, this is specifically for you. AFTV and troops, the amount of shit, I can say shit, the amount of shit that y'all talked at the end of the Community Shield. I am sorry, you guys got rinsed today. You guys got whitewashed. Okay, you guys were robbed. You guys were not robbed. You guys didn't deserve to have anything. You guys couldn't have been robbed because you didn't have anything to rob. Even the goal that you all got was a gift from us, and we took it back. Robertson just took it back by scoring the second goal. Anyway, you know what? Enough about AFTV and Martin Tyler. I've been going on rants today. It's just I swear I've been waiting for this Arsenal game I've tweeted out at AFTV as well. If you guys go to my Twitter profile, Sesh1214, for those of you who don't know, I've tweeted out at AFTV as well. You guys deserve it, man. For the amount that you all talked after the Community Shield, you guys deserve it. Anyway, let's get to the game itself. Second half, I think Arsenal came out a little better, a little more intent in their play, at least for the first 10 minutes. But you know what? Liverpool was still the better team, but Arsenal did have chances, especially once they brought on Ceballos. They had chances, and that was a big save. That was a game-changing save from Alisson when Lacazette got through on goal. The first one was offside, and he saved it anyway, but the first one was offside. The second one was not offside. He was onside, and I think it was Trent who played him onside. He was onside, got on the inside behind the defenders, and he was through on goal. And Alisson, man, I mean, see, that's the difference a class keeper can make. Like, Chelsea and Kepa must be looking at this thinking, if we had Alisson, imagine where we would be at this point. Because I'll be honest, Alisson doesn't make that save, Lacazette scores, that's a whole different game at that point. It's 2-2, Arsenal have a shot at a point, at least. And it's a very, very different game at that point. But Alisson makes that huge save, man. I mean, unbelievable save. It wasn't the most acrobatic or something, but it was just good keeping. Came out to the edge of the box, waited for Lacazette to make the first move, and when he made the first move, just made himself as big as possible, saved the shot. No biggie, just the usual day at work for Alisson. But brilliant game from him. Joe Gomez absolutely nailed it. Easily had a 9 out of 10 performance. Very composed at the back. There was no question whatsoever that Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk were really good. And of course, Diogo Jota, we have to talk about the new boy. First of all, I thought the substitutions were quite late because I felt like from around the 68th, sort of 70th minute, around that mark, we needed a sub because we were looking a little jaded. So I felt the substitutions were a little bit late. And you could see the difference. Like once Jota and forget who else came on. Minamino came on later, but Milner. Right. Jota and Milner had come on. And once they came on, like you could just see the difference from sort of the way we played and the amount of energy that we showed. You could just see that we were up for it, and the injection of fresh legs, the injection of energy was definitely sort of helpful to us. And Jota, honestly, at this point, like I would not have been surprised if he had scored 3 goals on debut. He had one chance taken away from him by Salah. There was just a little bit of a mix-up, and I think Salah's run just sort of took him right past Jota, and neither of them knew who was taking the shot. I think if Salah doesn't run past, Jota knows he's got the shot. The other one, there was one he missed that he hit the side netting with. I think that was kind of like, it's not an easy shot to take because he's got Bernd Leno who's rushing at him. So it's not the easiest shot to take. Could he have done better? Maybe, but at least he could have put it on target. Like if Leno makes a save, then it's a save. That's fine. But maybe he could have put it on target. I think he just tried to go over Leno because Leno was sort of sliding in like crazy Ivan. But I think, I think, but you know what? He looked very lively. Jota throughout, like he just looked very lively. Even without the goal, I think I would have said Jota's easily in the 12-15 minutes that he was on the pitch. He did really well. Like I would honestly give him at least a 7 out of 10. With the goal, I think that becomes an 8 easily. But I think he was just really good. Like there's no question that he was. He was just really good. Like there's just really no words to describe what Jota was doing. I mean, he was just lively. He worked hard, pressed hard. He seems like the perfect fit for Jurgen Klopp. Like he just seems like the player who he fits the Liverpool team like a hand to a glove. And I think he's just the perfect buy. I think, kudos to the recruitment team. Obviously, we knew about Jota, like we knew about the potential he had at Wolves, and obviously he wanted new challenges, came in here, and it was good to see him get his first goal. That's a big confidence booster. Like Minamino got his first at the start of the season against Arsenal, coincidentally in the Community Shield, and Jota's got his now against Arsenal at home in front of the Kop. I think if there was a crowd, I think it would have been really electric. Unfortunately for him, he has to score in front of an empty Kop, but it is what it is, and the times are what they are. But yeah, I mean, look, it was a brilliant performance overall. Not much in terms of criticism. The only thing I would say is the high line is kind of affecting us a little bit. And I've said this for a few games now. I've said this for Leeds. The high line, and I think once Ceballos came on especially, you could see the difference it was making because he was able to find passes that maybe Xhaka was not able to. And a couple of times, including the one that I think that got Lacazette one-on-one with Alisson, a couple of times, I think they were both from Ceballos, and we were gambling too much on that high line and that offside trap. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of that. Like, I'm not a big fan of such a high line. Yes, it helps when you sort of look at it in terms of pressing from the front if you have a very high line. At the same time, it doesn't help if a team has got the players capable of playing through it. And for example, I'll be very interested to see if they do this, if we do this against Manchester City, for example, because they can play through the press and they have the quality to hurt us. Like, they will not get caught out of possession for so long. Like, I don't think they'll let us have the ball too much, especially if we're playing them away. And so I'm interested to see what if this changes against the bigger teams in Europe as well, because if we come up against Bayern, if we come up against PSG, these sort of things, they could backfire against us. And I feel like a revert back to last season's sort of defense, at least in those games, if not maybe every game, at least in those games, if we can do that, then we might be in good shape. But that's kind of my only sort of gripe. But really, I mean, look, it's just an ongoing thing. I've said this from the first game about the high lines. I've not been a big fan of it, the way Liverpool played anyway. At least this season. Like last season, I was a fan of it because I was very confident in what they were doing because they were high. They were playing high. Well, they were playing a high line. Is what I mean. They weren't playing high, but they were playing a high line. But they were not overconfident about it. This season, it feels like there's a little bit of there's something missing. There's some sort of coordination missing, and there's a little bit of teething in problems. Let's say, I would say, because even for the one-on-one that Lacazette got through, I think the three defenders aside from Trent were all online. The problem was Trent wasn't looking at that line because I think he had his own guy to sort of look at, and in that split second when sort of the line steps up and you don't, and Lacazette makes that run all at the same time. It's a difficult thing, and at that level, at the level of the Premier League, at the level of the Champions League, these are things that you have to expect, and these are things that do happen. And if you come across a player like Thomas Muller or Kylian Mbappe, Neymar, even, or you come across Cristiano Ronaldo, Dybala, these guys will take advantage of that situation. Or even Barcelona, like even Lionel Messi, like he will play those through balls for sure. All he needs is a runner, and if one of them times it right, then he's got his man. He's got a one-on-one, and there's no guarantee that Alisson will keep coming up with saves. Like, yes, he's a brilliant keeper, but one-on-one is a 50-50. It's at the end of the day, it's a 50-50. So, and against world-class strikers, if that's a Lewandowski running through, the odds would favor Lewandowski more than Alisson in that situation. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to that. We'll cross that bridge when we come to Man City or PSG or Bayern Munich or whatever. But at this point, 9 points out of 9. I'm just very, very happy with that. I mean, I'm kind of tired as I'm recording this because it's not late, but it is after the game, and it's just been a long day for me. But I'm ecstatic, and to be completely honest, I'm just so happy about the win that it has overshadowed my anger at AFTV and Martin Tyler as well. To be fair to Martin Tyler, though, he did sort of improve a little bit in the second half, but he was still bad. But he is still an embarrassment to commentary. But he was a slightly less embarrassing figure in the second half. But you know what? Let's not end on that note. Let's not talk about Martin Tyler and this. I mean, Liverpool deserve better than that. We've been brilliant. Like I said, if I had to rate this performance as a whole, as a team, I'd probably say 9 out of 10. Individually, man of the match, I'm going to go for Sadio Mane because he scored the goal and he did a lot of other things aside from scoring the goal. His work rate was immense. The pressure that he put on defenders, on the back line of Arsenal, on the goalkeeper even was really good. And his movement was really good. In fact, the whole front three, all three of them, the movement was brilliant. It was very reminiscent of the fluid Liverpool, the one that made the run to the Champions League final in 2018. Maybe less reminiscent of last year, but definitely very, very 17-18 like. But yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with the performance. Sadio Mane is my man of the match, but honestly, I've seen people say Alisson's man of the match, Fabinho's man of the match. To be completely honest, there's no real wrong answer to that unless you're saying Minamino, because I love Minamino, but he was on the pitch for very, very few minutes. Or I don't even know if he came on. I'm not even sure. But anyway, brilliant game. Like I said, 9 out of 10 performance, and happy to be second in the table behind Leicester on goal difference and above Everton on goal difference. So it's a good weekend for Merseyside. Manchester City dropped points. United laboured to a win against Brighton, thanks to some very contentious decisions. Let's not get into that. But look, it is what it is. And, we're 9 points, 3 out of 3. Yes, we have some questions still in terms of defense, and, there's still some stuff to sort out. But overall, I think we've just been really, really good. And, I mean, I'll be very honest. I'm very, very happy, and I think so is Jurgen Klopp from what I've heard on his post-match interview with Sky. But yeah, that about brings me to the end of the Red Mist podcast. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter and Instagram, please do so. Seshadri S on Instagram, SESHADHRI space S on Instagram. On Twitter, that is SESH_1214. That is my Twitter handle. So do not be afraid to tweet me. Whatever, like we're playing Arsenal again on Thursday in the Carabao Cup. I don't expect the same lineup. I'm not going to do a preview for the match because honestly, what am I going to say in the preview? Hey, you remember that team we played twice already this year? Yeah, we're playing them a third time. I don't feel like doing a preview episode for the Arsenal game. It's just too repetitive at this point. Like we've played Arsenal 3 times in 5 weeks, pretty much, and it's just not. I don't know. It just doesn't feel appropriate to do any kind of a preview episode for that. And we literally just played them, today, and we're going to play them again 4 days from now. So there's nothing that's going to change between now and then, literally, unless some massive calamity hits one or the other team. But let's not hope for that. But yeah, there you go. I mean, Carabao Cup next round. I don't even know what round this is, but yeah, we're playing Arsenal. I think I want to say it's the quarterfinals. Maybe I genuinely fourth round I genuinely don't know. But yeah, we're playing Arsenal, and then we come back on Sunday to play Aston Villa at Villa Park, venue that gave us some problems last year. But yeah, if you guys do know any Aston Villa fans, do put them in touch with me. You know my Twitter, you know my Instagram. To put them in touch with me, and we can, if they're interested in doing a podcast, obviously. But yeah, that's pretty much about it from my side for raw reactions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys were able to relive the Arsenal game and my emotions on Martin Tyler and AFTV as well. That's an added bonus for you. But yeah, I think that brings me to a close. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day, have a good week, and I'll see you guys for the Carabao Cup game and raw reactions for the Carabao Cup game. But until then, this is me signing off. I am Seshadri. Goodbye.